Hello everybody, my name is Dave Short. I'm the Oklahoma PBL president and your host for the 2014 PBL Pro Tips, and this is video numero uno. And we are here in the beautiful campus of TCC Metro, home of America's largest chapter. Depends on who you ask.
We'll see.
We'll find out.
We'll see who finishes in the Big Ten.
We're coming for you, Rhode Island. We're coming for you. And we have Oklahoma's own Morgan Melot, who's our national PBL treasurer, with us. As always, for the first video, we have so much going on in this series. Just to give you a brief summary of what we're doing so that we can move right on to our interview with this wonderful lady. We have 20 guests. They range from state, local officers, all the way to national officers and even national presidents. So you'll be able to hear many different perspectives on FBLA and PBL. It'll be a great opportunity for you. So look at these videos, bring them to your chapter, show them to your advisors and your officer team. There's going to be something for you to learn. I guarantee it. It's going to be a great opportunity for you to share the experiences of all of these great people who are here smiling and wondering when they get to talk. And you'll definitely want to be here all the way to the end, where we will end the 2014 PBL Pro Tips with your PBL president, Donnie Ioria. So that's out of the way. Morgan.
Well, I feel like I have to interject and at least let them know a little bit. We've also got the FBLA National President, Mr. Cole Simmons, that's going to be joining you.
Very true.
Oklahoma's own FBLA Mountain Plains Vice President, Mr. Holland Gray.
Yes, Holland will be here.
We've got several other national officers for PBL, as well as, like you said, some state officers.
Yep, we got PBL Southern Region Office Vice President Glenn Gilliott. We also have Mountain Plains Vice President Katie Clark. So we've got people coming out of the woodwork to share with you. It's going to be a super opportunity. I know that I'm a little biased, but I've done everything that I possibly can to make sure that this is something that you'll actually be able to use. And it's all part of FBLA-PBL Week, which is the time to recruit people for your chapter. There's so many things going on. Monday, we have our presidents. All three of them are going to sit down and have a webinar. They're going to share from their experience, all on the same video. You can't really pass that up. I'll be watching it. You should be as well. We also have a different theme and a different activity for every single day. Don't forget to dress in your, best for the professional business day. Don't forget all of the other opportunities, which I didn't write down, so I don't have them right here in front of me, but there are on our website.
And probably most importantly, I want to point out Advisor Appreciation Day. Make sure you don't miss that one. I know from my experience, and I'm sure yours, our local chapters and state chapters couldn't be nearly as successful if it wasn't for the amazing advisors that we all have.
Yeah, I mean, here at TCC Metro, we have over 15 advisors, and it would be impossible to do all the things that we've been able to do without them. They do way more work than all of us do here on campus. So you want to be able to cherish and explore all of the things that your advisors do, and we want to appreciate them. Don't forget that Mountain Plains Vice President Katie Clark will be featuring some of our region's advisors on her page this week for Appreciation Day. So you want to check her out as well. There's so much to keep up with. There's so much to be on top of. Just follow the website, fbla-pbl.org. It'll have all of this information on there. And you can follow the PBL Pro Tips on Facebook at facebook.com/PBL Pro Tips. It's that easy. I can't make it any easier. So, we got a bit of a tradition. We got to get this out of the way.
Let's do it.
All right. In case you've been living under a rock, in case you don't like pretty girls with blonde hair, in case you have some kind of technology gap that you've not been able to breach, and this is the first time you've ever seen anything about PBL, this is PBL National Treasurer Morgan Melot. And I have a tradition of asking everybody how they got started in PBL, and most people may not know the story of how you got started, So let's start there. You are a young warthog running through the Serengeti. I'm kidding. Tell me how you got started in PBL, and then maybe just take us straight on through to becoming National PBL Treasurer Wonder Woman.
Well, okay, I'll try to keep things brief. I started college when I was 21, actually at our sister campus, Tulsa Community College's West Campus. And I was somewhat of a non-traditional student, and I just wanted to find some resource to get me more involved on campus. It seemed really intimidating, the big campus, all the different buildings, all the different people, and I really wasn't sure where to start. So I had a teacher that actually invited everyone to a PBL meeting, and I'm not gonna lie, the reason I initially showed up was because they had free pizza. Little recruiting tip for you. But once I got to the meeting and realized what it was all about, I thought, this looks like a lot of fun, and this has a lot of opportunities. I think I want to see what this is all about. And I just was a very involved member my first year, and then my second year at TCC, I was elected our local chapter president. It was something that I honestly didn't even think about doing ahead of time. My advisor actually came to me and specifically asked me to do it. And so I kind of just took it on faith, and in her trust in me and faith in me that I could do it. So I figured, why not? Let's give it a try. And over the course of that year, we were able to organize 2 of the school's most successful fundraisers ever.
Awesome.
And it really just got me pumped up. I was able to go to both Orlando and San Antonio.
What?
It was so much fun. It got me, every national conference I went to, I got more and more hooked on the organization. They're so much fun.
It's good stuff.
It's so great. Not only do you get to travel, but you get to meet so many amazing people. It's just incredible. The friends that I've made are probably the best asset I've been able to have so far, which I feel like
me. I'm the friend she's talking about. I'm just kidding.
well, and I feel like that's a great tool too that we kind of forget, even when we're recruiting, that these are the future business leaders of America. These are the next leaders. So the more people you can network with and make friends with now, you never know where they might be in 5, 10, 20 years. So
You never know.
it's exciting.
It is exciting. I mean, I was just sitting at a meeting yesterday this close to our vice president of student affairs of our entire college. It's a multi-site college. There's 5 different campuses. And she is a former PBL member. And she heard we were doing the ProTips series. Dr. Jan Clayton, she's amazing. You might want to look her up. She even did some really great stuff in the organization. But you never know who's going to grow up to be the vice president of your school that was a PBL person, or even some of the Rotary members that I've ran into, or I've even talked to some, state congressmen who have been in PBL before, and they, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So
Yeah, we really are a lifelong organization.
it's true. It's very true. So now you're the national treasurer. How are you enjoying that?
It's been a really awesome experience. To kind of fill in the gap, I transferred from graduated from my community college and transferred to a 4-year university to finish my degree. And once there, I actually ran for our state president position, did that last year. Got a lot of really good experience and insight. And with everything else, the more involved I got in FBLA-PBL, the more and more I grew attached, and the more I loved it, and the more I wanted to take on. So I did decide to run for national treasurer this summer in Anaheim. And I have to say, it's definitely been a life-changing experience. It's been unbelievable. From just getting to network with people from all over the country, the traveling opportunities, the public speaking opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those, when I was a kid, I did a lot of performing arts, but I've never felt comfortable just standing in front of people and speaking before. And it's something that's become almost second nature. It's been really unreal.
No problem with it now.
It's crazy.
That's right.
It's crazy for even me to look back and see the journey that I've really made.
That's right. Well, and I think you're going to see a theme this week with all of these videos. We're really trying to showcase the benefits of being a part of FBLA-PBL and how it prepares you to do so much more. And it's like an instant advantage for you when you get out in the real world. And when you're trying to get a job in a market like we're dealing with today, where there are so many more people looking for just that one job, I was
you
at
gotta
a
have the edge.
yeah, I was at a job fair just the other day for a huge computer company, Hewlett Packard, and there were
Nice.
3,000 people there vying for just 500 jobs. So, I mean, you can imagine you have to have an advantage, and PBL, I believe personally, and I think Morgan would agree, is that advantage. So, we're going to go ahead and start our interview talking about that. You're the national treasurer, and you have a unique opportunity to talk to a lot of businesses, trying to find us sponsorships for our events and for different things. And I know there's some things you can talk about and some things you can't. We just want to make it a good surprise for you. But talk about how that's, your experience in PBL has been able to help you talk to these big businesses like Geico and Coca-Cola and H&R Block and places like that. How has that prepared you?
Well, I think I kind of hit on it, but I definitely want to divulge. It's a matter of just being able to feel comfortable speaking to people. When it comes to soliciting sponsorships, the number one rule is you can't be afraid to hear the word no. You can't let that no word deter you. You have to keep going for more. But definitely my experiences that I've gotten in PBL that have set me up to be able to handle those situations even more would definitely have to be my involvement in different competitive events, such as public speaking and Future Business Executive. I was actually fortunate enough to finish second place last summer in Anaheim in Future Business Exec, and it's centered around where you submit a resume and a letter of application.
Right.
But the competitive event portion of it at the conference is where you go in for an interview. So that interview experience and that scenario of just having people throw those questions and being able to answer off the cuff has really, really prepared me to feel even more comfortable speaking, and especially speaking about FBLA-PBL.
Yeah. And I think the more practice that you get to be able to articulate just your core belief system, the way that you work, your work ethic, your ability to get out there and differentiate yourself from other people is really where this advantage begins. Because
Absolutely.
I mean, I personally own a business, and so I'm always interviewing people, and I look for prospects in like the weirdest places. Like if I get a really good waitress at a restaurant who's really good talking with people, or if she did a really great job explaining the menu or taking her time to make sure my burger was exactly the right way, I think about that person.
And above.
Yeah. I think about her, and I think about, well, maybe she might be really good at explaining my business to my customers. So you never know where you're going to stand out. You don't have to be right out the gate, Bill Gates or, Steve Jobs owning some huge company. But, you always have that advantage in your back pocket to be able to face people with confidence. So.
Well, and I think what you hit on it's you just have to have the confidence and the faith in yourself to go out there and try.
That's right.
That's what's really cool about FBLA PBL, whether it's the competitive event or even running for a state or national office, that experience of campaigning, being able to reach out and talk to people and feel comfortable in that setting can really set you apart.
And I mean, there's a lot of benefits in being a member beyond those things as well. I mean,
absolutely.
If you've ever looked at the CMAP program, that's another fantastic program for you. For a guy like me, I was just looking at it. I'm about to finish the final level of CMAP. Go me! And but I was looking at all the things, and I thought, man, I've already done so many of these things in PBL already. I don't have to prepare to do them. I've already done them. Now all I have to do is go back and just summarize it. And I haven't been in PBL, like Katie Clark's been in PBL for 6 years, or people like PBL National Secretary Bo Cobb's been in PBL since I don't even remember. I mean, it's been 5 or 6 years. Some of these people have been in the program for so long. I've only been in it for 2 years, and I've been able to do all those things in just that short amount of time with the experience of being in an active chapter, being in an active state organization, and then being tied in with people who want to lead. So, I mean, you don't really get the opportunity to just walk into some place and have people with that kind of ambition.
Oh, absolutely. And to take a second just to note on the CMAP program, you're absolutely right. CMAP is really designed for you to get rewarded and recognized for the things that you're already doing as an active chapter, either on the state or local state level. In fact, it's kind of, I'm sure you noticed as you were working through it, the first level is more directed towards the local level. How involved are you as a local chapter member? Then the second level, it's kind of taking that step forward and getting more involved in the state level and doing things to that caliber, and actually starting to organize your own events and stuff like that, which is again things you do at the local level. And then the final level kind of brings in some of the national perspectives as well. So it's like you said, as long as you're an active member and you're involved, this kind of rewards you for what you're already doing. And for those people who aren't sure exactly what should our chapter be doing, it provides a really great framework, or at least points you in the right direction of things to do that will help improve your chapter and grow your membership.
It's a great way for you to just see if you're on the right track, to go through this checklist of things that you're, expected to kind of do, or I mean, expected in a roundabout way to do. Like recruit 3 people for your chapter. I mean, who can't get on Facebook and say, I'm going to have pizza if anybody wants to talk about business? I mean, there you go. That's your chapter. Put $20 in the mail, send it to Reston, Virginia, and you've got a chapter. I mean, who hasn't done that? Like in Membership Mania, you only need 5 people. That's 2 more people. Come on. I mean, I'm not trying to trivialize this at all. I'm trying to say that what it does is it starts setting benchmarks for you to know if you're making success. You start with 3 members, you go to 5, then you go to 10, and then you start looking at holding meetings. You have 1 meeting, you have 3 meetings.
Going to even, and stepping outside of your chapter and then kind of motivating you as an individual as well. Are you attending your school's career fairs? Have you gone to a local Chamber of Commerce meeting? Have you networked with anybody in your community?
Have you ever been on a job interview and applied the stuff that we're talking about right now?
Do you have a resume? All of these things that are a lot of really great personal development, as well as things that'll benefit your chapter. So it's really twofold.
Right.
And it's meant, like you said, it's definitely not meant to be a requirement.
Right.
It's meant there to reward you for doing the things that, like I said, most active chapters are already doing.
It's a helpful tool, is what it is. And at the end of this, on the very last level, you're set out to create a portfolio. A professional portfolio is one of your duties. And you get to take that portfolio, and it's just a good opportunity. It's kind of like at Survivor. If you ever watch Survivor, the last week of Survivor, they always have this like march that they do through all of the old people's torches or whatever. I think of that last level of CMAP being a little bit like that, where you sit down and you start thinking, I remember that first meeting I was at. I remember that first time I went to a community service thing. And what it does is it tries to jog your memory so that you can learn to articulate that experience. Because sometimes when you're in an interview, who's not gotten those weird that seem to be off the wall questions where they're like, tell me about a time that you helped your neighborhood, or tell me about a volunteer opportunity that you were a part of. How many people go into that situation and are completely tongue-tied and they can't bring something to their memory right away? CMAP, and I mean, we didn't even plan to talk about CMAP too much, but CMAP kind of gives you the ammunition where you're like, oh yeah, well, we helped childhood hunger this year. I was able to volunteer 300 hours with various organizations all over the country, and I've even tapped into opportunities outside of my state to make sure that kids don't have to starve at night. And see, right there, I was able to answer that question, and I probably wouldn't have been able to if I wasn't actively thinking about how I would put it down on paper in a portfolio. So
I think too, I've noticed you said something and it just reminded me kind of to jot back on job preparedness. Whenever I've been in different interviews, a lot of interviews now, and they're really transitioning to this more of instead of them asking you questions, what do you consider your strengths and weaknesses? They kind of cater more towards this behavioral approach or situational approach, where it's tell me about a time when.
Right.
Fill in the blank.
Right.
So I can tell you for me personally, and even in my classes, I've noticed a lot when teachers are discussing something and elaborating on a certain topic, and I'll have that thought pop into my head, oh, yeah, we did that in PBL. Mm-hmm. So being involved, it really can help prepare you to answer those questions because you've been in a lot of those settings without even realizing it. And it'll help you learn your stuff in class as well, too, because you have a point of reference that's very personal to you and that you can relate to.
That's right. It's good stuff. And I would love to talk to you about it for days, because I would, I definitely would. But we have this valuable asset right here, and I want to kind of shift gears a little bit.
Let's do
Okay.
it.
One of the main objectives, or not necessarily objectives, but projects that you've taken on this year is a program to educate our members about Perkins funding.
Yes.
I have learned so much from her already. There's so much that this world of Perkins funding is just an enormous thing to even try to get your hands on to understand. But if you could, and I know this is going to be kind of difficult, explain to people, I mean, we could be talking to kids who are in I call them kids, in ninth grade who have no clue what Perkins funding is. What is it? Why is it important to us?
Well, first off, I want to say it doesn't matter how old you are or what grade you're in. If you're not familiar with Perkins funding, that's okay. I actually was not familiar with Perkins funding until this last summer with National Officer Training. That's whenever I learned about what Perkins funding was and how important it was. It was then that I discovered that Oklahoma currently didn't get any Perkins funding, so it was no wonder that I wasn't aware of what it was. But because of that, I really took a personal interest into learning more into how can we secure this for our organization. Basically, I'll just walk you through it the way that I learned about it, and that was at national training. I actually was fortunate enough to meet with 3 of our Oklahoma legislators in Washington, D.C.
That's awesome.
It was really incredible. I met with Senator Coburn, Representative Mullen, and Representative Bridenstine, and then met with legislative aides for Senator Inhofe and Senator Lucas. So shout out to them, and thank you all again for having me. But what we did there is we really just reached out to them in a matter of supporting Perkins funding. On the national level, it's simply a matter of do we want to have this or not? And basically what it is, what Perkins funding is it's government monies that are given to CTSOs, which are career and technical student organizations.
Right.
So at the national level, we just got to campaign on to why is this Perkins funding important? How has being involved in this CTO changed my life and benefited me? And therefore, why should they support it? And I even found out there that a lot of our national representatives weren't that familiar with Perkins funding. So it's crazy that it's such a crucial element of our organization, but it's something that our members, as well as even our legislators, aren't necessarily super versed with.
And I think that's why this topic needs to be championed, because it's what keeps us in business. And it's not necessarily in business, but it's what keeps us here, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, we're a nonprofit organization, so our resources are what we have to operate on, what we take to be able to provide conferences and resources for our members all comes from either sponsorships, Perkins funding, or membership dues. So we're really kind of limited in that world. So Perkins funding is a really big piece of it. It's something that definitely needs to be more attention put on.
And it's not just the national office's job to be aware of this. It's not just their job to lobby for this. And by lobby, that's like a weird term that adults use for trying to get people to do something for them. But what we want to do is we want to be a quality membership. It's something that I'm trying to drive with PBL ProTips, with all of the guests that I'm going to be talking with, to really step up our game, to raise the bar, to get some people in PBL. We all know those student friends of ours that go to other schools or are in our school that are part of honor societies or something, and for one reason or another they're not in PBL. Go recruit those people. We need quality people in our organization so that when we do go to congressmen who, which she just said are kind of in the dark about Perkins funding to begin with, we can say, look, we're this huge organization and we have members like this person who's amazing and this person who's amazing, and look at what these people are doing and look at how they're involved in their community and able to be contributors to our workforce with unemployment so high and with businesses kind of fleeing the country and all these political things. We have the opportunity to say we're equipping the future business leaders of America. I mean, why would you turn that down? And that's kind of our way of being able to differentiate ourselves from just a club like, a book club or something,
Yeah, and I really want to highlight what you had said, that it's definitely not something that you just advocate for on the national level. Like I said, on the national level, it's a matter of just, do we have it or not, yes or no. But when it comes to your actual state allocation, either your state chapter or local chapters, it comes down to advocating on your state level, reaching out to your state legislators, reaching out to those people, as well as your career and technical education department, to help get your organization listed and registered in the state as a registered nonprofit CTSO. So therefore you are entitled to those funding, so that way you can help have better conferences, better resources.
Who couldn't use a little extra cash to draw in quality students and quality members for our organization? Our president, Donnie Iorio, always talks about the 30,000 foot view of PBL, and when you look at it, it just makes sense. As an organization, we're trying to draw sponsors. That's one side of it, but we're also trying to draw members. Those sponsors want to invest in an organization that has quality members, and those quality members want to be a part of an organization that has sponsorships and has ways to establish them in the workforce.
Yeah, either sponsors that either provide a nice hefty check when they win at nationals,
It doesn't hurt.
or just a sponsor, or even a sponsor that they can network with for potential that they can network with for a potential career job. I also want to elaborate a little bit on what you said about Donnie's 30,000 feet view. It's something that I've gotten kind of my own perspective of, that I feel like really relates. From going from a local chapter member and officer, I really could relate that to being like a frontlines manager, where you're really going in day to day, you're dealing with the customers, which are your local chapter members, on a regular basis. You're dealing with all the regular operations, doing some planning and organizing, but it's all kind of going through and planning towards your state conferences and your state events as well. So that really, I compare the local chapter to being like a frontline management. Then once you can start getting involved on the state level, it's kind of more of a mid-level position, where you've got
Kinda
a
like
lot.
being the regional manager of an Arby's.
Absolutely.
I don't know why I picked
Or
Arby's.
whatever.
I love Arby's.
A regional or district manager,
yeah.
somebody where you have your own goals and you have your own objectives within your region.
Yeah.
But your main objective is to plan for these certain things, and then to communicate to all of your local businesses or franchises or chapters in our case.
Yeah.
And kind of communicate things that are trickling down from the national level, as well as things that you have planned for your state conferences. So you kind of get to have that middle level management experience.
It's a good experience too. It is.
And then with this last year, I've really gotten to notice being a national officer and being able to go to the national center and see how everything operates. It's given a whole nother perspective to it. It's been like almost a top management view, to where you focus a lot more on the organization's overall strategy and mission, and making sure that everything that we do really caters in line to that, and then communicating directly to our state officers, because it's impossible for us to communicate to every single member.
It's crazy.
So with the help to our regional vice presidents, we all reach out to our state chapters and state officers to communicate the national plans. So it's been a really cool experience, and it given me a very neat perspective that I feel like I know I wouldn't have ever gotten if it wasn't for FBLA-PBL. And I'm sure this is something that Donnie could elaborate a lot more on as well. It's been really unbelievable.
Yeah, and I mean, when you get to hear from Donnie, he talks about this stuff so articulately. He's got it down. I mean, he's a really good communicator about the opportunity. So you don't want to miss that video. That's coming up. It'll be our very last video of the Pro Tip series. Short plug.
Well, and I want to add too that if there's anything that I didn't mention on, or if there's anything else that you would like to know, or if you for some reason just jump to this part of the screen, by all means, please reach out to me at either PBLTRES, which is TRES @FBLA.org, or my personal email account, Morgan Melot, MORGANMELOT @gmail.com, and I would love to answer any questions you have, give you any advice, whatever it may be.
Or if you'd like the fatherly wisdom of Dave instead of Morgan, which I don't know why you would. She's obviously much smarter than me. you can email me at daveshort@outlook.com, which I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. Me and Morgan are kind of like the power duo here in Oklahoma, at least, and we try to handle as many things as we can. And it's been an honor having you for the second year in a row. I love your face.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. It's always a great time.
It's been a great opportunity. Now, don't forget, who do we have this week? You know.
Well, let's see. We've got PBL Southern Region Vice President Glenn Gilliott.
Yes.
I mentioned before our Oklahoma's own FBLA Mountain Plains Region Vice President, Mr. Holland Gray, as well as TCC Metro's own vet, Jerry Powers, which
Yes.
I think he'll have a lot of really great things to share.
This is something that I want to just take a second here. Jerry is from my local chapter, and he's moved on to OSU, but he used PBL as the launch pad for his business, and his business is very successful today. And he was able to win first place at nationals for small business plan, and
as well as a lot of other awards too. I want to highlight that were outside of FBLA-PBL,
right.
but that he was able to apply the same things that he'd used in PBL in his presentations and actually gotten a lot of funding.
What he did is he basically went through the process of competing for PBL, made good records, kept good documents, and just carbon copied what he did for PBL, which obviously worked. He won nationals, and then went to this, and then went to that.
Not only carbon copied it, but it was a real business he started, and everything he learned going through the process with PBL, he used that to apply to his business to make it more efficient and successul.
And he's just the champion of what we've been talking about here. So he's going to be on the series. We're going to have the California girls.
Woo!
We're going to have Harmon, Florence, the rest of the California PBL team on to talk about their experience behind the scenes at NLC in Anaheim this year, as well as just maybe some Disneyland tips, because I got owned at Disneyland. And we'll also have people like Eastern Region Vice President Arutha, who was the Eastern Region VP last year. And then we'll have other people like Michael Kennedy, who is a former PBL National Treasurer and now on the Professional Division Membership Action Council. We'll also have people like Miguel Rodriguez, who's part of the Region Action Council here in Mountain Plains. So we've got a ton of people for you to get experience from. It's FBLA-PBL week. Don't forget that we're not trying to monopolize all of that. There's so much going on. It's like the state fair of PBL, FBLA. It's just a great opportunity for you to learn so much and to have fun, you know?
Well, and it's right in the middle of CTE month. So while you're CTE
month.
Yeah, CTE, Career Technical Education. That's what we are. Remember Perkins funding, CTSOs? Luckily, though, I'm happy to announce that the National Officer team this year, we're actually still in the project mode right now, but hopefully it'll be released soon, which will be an interactive module online to help educate you on Perkins funding, what it is, how you can get it in your state. I'm really excited about it. It's been a lot of hard work put into it, so we hope that that'll be able to help not only our state officers, but as well as our local chapter advisors.
So we've got Nashville coming up, NLC. It's a big opportunity. It's at the Opryland.
Google it. It's beautiful. It's probably the best hotel I feel like I've ever gotten to stay at for FBLA-PBL. It's really exciting.
It's like a city inside of one building. It's so huge. There's even rumors that they won't deliver a pizza to the place.
Luckily, though, there is a mall that's right attached to everything, so
you could literally go there in a post-apocalyptic world and live there inside of that one compound and never have to leave. That's how big it is. It's a viable alternative to your family vacation. One. I want to make sure my fingers are on here. One. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. It is a viable alternative to your family vacation. One. It is also a great opportunity for you to compete against the sharpest, most competitive student leaders from around the country. And then you get to win. And when you win, we all know what that yields. You get to go back to your hometown. You get to tell the employers in your city, I competed nationally. I'm not only learning this stuff in my classroom, I'm able to apply it, and I'm able to apply it better than this list of people who are just great candidates. They could walk in here and take any job in this entire room, and I was able to beat them. And it's a great opportunity for you. Also, you get to see me, and you get to see Morgan, and you get to high-five us when we are walking around, and you get to see all of the people that you're going to see on the Pro Tip series. It's going to be something you don't want to miss. Start raising funds. Start talking to your people. You want to be there.
Get your business cards.
Get your business
Don't
cards.
forget those.
Yeah, and let's not forget Institute for Leaders as well, which is going to happen 2 or 3 days before the conference. And it's a great opportunity for you to network with the overachievers, the people who want to even tack on 2 or 3 days to the experience so they can learn even more than what you already learned through the process. You've been through IFL before.
I have. It's a lot of fun. It gives you an opportunity to kind of do even more hands-on stuff. For those of you who have been to conferences before, you know that we have different workshops.
Yeah.
And it's a really similar atmosphere that you have workshops, but you're in a lot smaller groups. You do more impromptu activities that kind of forces you to step outside of your comfort zone a little bit, which really sets you up to be in the perfect state of mind for the conference. It's perfect.
It's something you don't want to miss. So hopefully we'll get to see you there. This has been the first video of the PBL Pro Tip series. It's been exciting having you, Morgan, again. And hey, you know what? You may get to see her again this week. Who knows? She might be popping in on a video, 1 or 2. So definitely tune into the rest of the videos. Check our Facebook, facebook.com/PBLProTips. Check the national website, FBLA-PBL.org. Follow all of your national officers on Facebook and Twitter, and those will be linked all over our Facebook page. Folks, this is a great opportunity for you to learn. It's been so much fun having you. I just don't want to let her go. She's that awesome.
It's always a great time, Dave. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Well, until the next video, when we will have Mountain Plains Vice President Katie Clark.
And fellow Okie.
This is Dave Short.
And this is Morgan Melot. Happy FBLA-PBL week.
Yes!